Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, I wanted to do a comparison between what we love of the Gundam series and this Warhammer 40k action figure I picked up, and just kind of Warhammer in general in terms of the collectibles. So this is a JOYTOY action figure. It's not one of the miniatures, but it looks amazing. We're going to take a close look at it and compare it to Gundam. All right, so here we go. This is a JOYTOY, that's the brand, Space Marine, or actually it's like a tactical, I don't know. I don't know too much about Warhammer 40k, but I know enough from the Dawn of War games. I know it's miniature tabletop, and it's very interesting because that's like the source of its lore and the video games, which is the same with Gundam, the Gunpla, the model kits, kind of being not really the source, but the anime is that source, and that's what was supposed to be the big deal of Gundam, and what kind of has been the mainstay of Gundam this whole time is Gunpla. For Warhammer 40k, it's the miniature tabletop stuff. But, you know, I figure if you look at this and just agree, this looks awesome. And it's not too different from, this isn't a Warhammer figure. This is obviously the Blue Destiny, but it is actually very interesting to see some of the similarities here about what I personally like. Because I personally like mechs and robots, and while the Space Marine dude is not necessarily a mech or a robot, he's in a mechanized suit, and there's some biological engineering that goes on for these people to be in these suits. But there's a couple other things too, just looking at like the rifle they're holding, how they have with the blue armor, and you have white decals on that for insignia purposes. Over on the heads, you have like, especially with Blue Destiny specifically, when it's in exam mode, but the red lights, you know, and even with the face, you know, looking closely at the heads here, it's really interesting how much the head on this Warhammer thing just looks like a GM head. But it is interesting too, because we're familiar with things like, you know, Halo, and that, you know, that Spartan GM design, and how then that's what kind of led to the influence in the design of the Spartan from the Halo universe. So it's very interesting here. Like, I have this strong pull to Warhammer 40k, even though I don't play the tabletop. But like, look at how similar it is to Gundam. Okay, now along with that Space Marine came something else. Yeah, that's right, the mech. So this is getting even more into the Gundam-y aspect I like of the Warhammer 40k stuff. All right, and try to get some room on here. Yeah, this thing is a big and beefy boy, but it's really amazing. You know, it's got the cockpit here that you have for this gentleman here to sit in, which is really cool. You got the fully articulated manipulators. I know that's what they call it in Gundam. You can hear that. It's kind of ratchety. And then, yeah, there's a lot of articulation like in the legs here. And I love how we see all the little joints and pistons move. He's got a gun on the side here. Oh, Batman just fell. He's got a gun on the side here, which is funny because it's just mounted there, but you can pull it off and put it in his hands. But anyway, it's just really cool to get something like this. And it was just funny that where I live, there happens to be a Warhammer cafe. And I had already been collecting some of these. I'm big into video games. The new Space Marine 2 is coming out. And so here is a figure I bought off of Amazon that looked just like what the character in the new Space Marine 2 would look like. You know, so I picked that up. But it was just neat that there happens to be this Warhammer cafe store right near me. So we went to go check it out, and they happen to have some more figures in the line, and that's where I picked this up. And for a quick comparison, I just wanted to bring the perfect grade over to kind of see. Now, I guess prices might vary between these depending where you get them, right? So this, I've noticed, is a little over 200 when I looked online, but the store I went to had it for 150, so I thought it was a fantastic price. This here, I've heard people get it for over 200, sub 300, but I paid $3 for this. That was the only way I could actually get it. You know, maybe you could find it cheaper. But, you know, the difference is that this is a model kit you're building. There's so many intricate little pieces that go on throughout. This is not. It even feels very light. It's lighter than this, and it's a little hollower. But what JOYTOY, or just, you know, I guess it's JOYTOY, right? Because they're the ones making this. Because any company that is making a Gundam line of figures could do the same thing. Why don't we get more, and maybe it's got to be some new scale or something, or, you know, just some sort of mech that, you know, or mobile suit that comes with the action figures. We even have the 1/18 scale, which this is supposed to be around, of Char. We have Amuro, we have the Zeon and Federation soldiers. We even have the cockpit for the core fighter, but it would be excellent if they were somehow able to make, and I don't know what scale it would be, maybe take something like we were just looking at, the perfect grade. And, you know, we've got this size, and let's say you had, you know, a little minifigure. I could see them making it, maybe this would be larger, but it might not be as like detailed and intricate with all the little pieces and everything. And then maybe have some sort of figure, maybe that they can get the figure a little bigger, just something that is articulated. That way you can have, look, the RX-78-2 here, Sharzaku-2 have, the figures for both. It would be really neat. But, so isn't it interesting that we have a property like Warhammer, right? That this is, and I could be wrong about this. I know it's more of a Western thing, but, Warhammer, I think, was in England, where, correct me down there if I'm wrong. And then, Gundam is Japanese. But it's interesting how we see with like the Warhammer, even though it's rooted in tabletop, you have a company like JOYTOY making these 1/18th action figures, with the mechs also. On the other hand, with Gundam, that we have the Gunpla that's been around for a while, and Mega House actually makes 1/18th action figures, but just no mobile suits to go with them yet. But I do think 1/18 might be a little big to have a cool, practical to scale collection of mobile suits with the pilots inside. I'm just really into the idea of having an articulated pilot that I could have in the mobile suit. I think that's the one main thing that's missing. Because if I'm going to go back to these two figures here, that these are both awesome for their own reasons. The thing is, this is its own guy, right? There's more to this story. There is someone that is a pilot here. And I think maybe to kind of further my fun and creativity with indulging myself with these toys is having more of that ability to maybe have these pilots. The 08th MS Team line, which is pretty cool, has the accessory pack that actually has the little characters to go with this scale. But again, that's a little too small. I would like something a bit more. And real quick, just to go back to one of the other figures, like look at how great and detailed this is. And, something I didn't add is I'm paying under 30 for these. These things go for, 26 to, I guess, mainly 30 on Amazon from what I've seen. But then they have other different types that could be, a little more expensive. So a bunch of different ones. So when it comes to these new Warhammer figures and how I then view what we have with Robot Spirits, I would say that there is now opportunity for Bandai to maybe step up and maybe make these figures a little more fully featured, because you get more articulation, you get more features, you get more paint with something here that I paid, about $30 for. These, when they're released, they're about 70, and they're lighter. It's a little more hollow. And so as much as I like Robot Spirits and I love this line, having these JOYTOY figures tells me that there's more that's possible. And I'll go to Jada Toys as an example. Jada Toys, they rival Marvel Legends in terms of cost, but Jada Toys makes toys completely better than Marvel Legends. And I hate to say that, but it's just like they have pinless joints, more articulation. It's very well done. Anyway, so what do you think? Are you into Warhammer? Did you like those JOYTOY 1/18 things? I think it's amazing. And I feel like there's opportunity for Gundam to have more, stuff like that. And a Diaclone is another good example in Japan where they already have these machines that have these small little articulated figures. But I think there's a way where we can meet in the middle. Have slightly bigger articulated figures, maybe have the bigger mobile suits. They might not be as intricate and detailed, but to just have something that you can play with like that would be pretty awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check the links in the description below if you're interested in supporting this channel, or there's even a link to our Discord. We have a lot of fun over there at the Discord. There's always so many things to talk about. And yeah, thanks to the supporters that are around there too. Make it a fun place, make all this stuff possible. So anyway, thanks a lot. We'll talk later.